Hello and welcome to episode 45 of Lost in Chronologically Lost, where this time we have to go back!
We
You
do
have
be
no
having to go back.
idea how big of a... That is... I'd say that is the biggest Lost meme. Maybe tied with, people saying they were dead the whole time and everyone
What
getting
about
that.
what do the numbers mean?
I'd say this is bigger than the numbers because this
Really?
was... Yeah, I'll just say it now. That whole thing of Jack, being depressed and calling Kate and eventually meeting her. That was that was the season 3 finale scene.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, him yelling,
Yeah, that's
we
good.
have to go back became just like the biggest meme of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured a lot of that had to be flash forwards because they were playing so coy with Locke being Locke, you know?
Well, we'll get to that, and I'll tell you something even more ridiculous about
Okay,
it.
can't wait.
Okay, but where we begin
But
with this
I
is
want to just have an opening comment because I want to get this
Okay.
out of the way.
yeah.
In that, watching like everything that happens to Locke, and like Jack is addicted to pills now, I was just like, you know what? I can see how somebody who got originally invested in the show being about trying to escape this island would not be that interested in this anymore. I can kind of get it, like, oh, Jack is, like, everyone got home, but now Locke dies and Jack is a drug addict and everything's terrible. It's like, it's kind of a downer, you know? But I think the thing is, for me, it serves its purpose because I know we're going to go to the 70s arc, and the 70s arc is also something where I think if you originally got invested in the original premise, you might think the all time travel stuff is stupid, but I think the 70s arc was great and a fun time and had cool stuff happen. So I can like accept the purpose of this darker arc, but I can see like if I wasn't watching it chronologically, this wouldn't be my favorite part.
Yeah, well, for a lot of the flash forwards, I believe that the writer said that the theme. This is why I didn't tell you what the theme for the season was until now. Is that the theme for season 4 with all the flash forwards was the theme is who left and why they have to come back. Like it's basically about ruining everyone's life off the island to a point where they have to go back.
Yeah. It's like I get the idea that like everything goes bad for them because they weren't supposed to leave, but it's at the same time it's still very like it puts a frown on your face to see.
It does,
And I do think I think, and maybe this wasn't the case back then, or maybe this is the case because Lost, but I'm just not a huge fan of the trope of oh, after like the story ends, or like after getting away from the situation they were in, the main character becomes a drug addict to cope. It's like, it's not a. I feel like it's
well, it wasn't
overdone.
that he became a drug addict to cope with the island. It was because he started, seeing visions of his dad and Kate kicked him out and everything. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, especially with
It's like in general, the whole after everything, they become a drug addict. But I know it's not after everything. I think, now I have to say, like, did being on the island in the 70s again heal him of his drug addiction?
I think so, but you can also see him basically kicking like in the scene where Ben's like, "Oh, I flushed your pills down the toilet." And he
Yeah.
goes, "Oh yeah, I was just about to do that," but
See,
like,
and you know
he
what?
doesn't fight him on it. He's just like, "Hey, whatever,
Yeah.
let's go."
Well, see, it's like that sounds kind of like he's just making it like.
Oh,
like,
he was
would
100% making an excuse.
Yeah,
but he was.
but it's like,
he
yeah,
didn't
he
care
accepts
enough
it.
to fight him on it.
He accepts it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, addiction to painkillers is like, it's serious. I knew a guy who, like, he had them for a legitimate reason, but then he just couldn't get off of them, and then he had to go to rehab. It can get anyone. So it's not even like make a decision. It really fucks up your body.
I actually let me look up what it was because I think it's a real drug.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was like on screen and stuff. I just forget what they said.
Yeah, it's not a painkiller. It's like a tranquilizer kind of
Okay.
thing. It's to prevent like anxiety and
It was
panic
close
disorders.
something.
Clonazepam.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
so
either way, being addicted is bad. Anyway, we should actually get started with the events now.
So Locke wakes up in the same spot that Ben woke up in years ago.
Yep.
And Widmore has figured that out and prepared for that now because there's a camera.
They get him, and like it's nice to see them getting him to a doctor. And
even if it's actually, some not so good doctor.
Yeah, well, I mean, they set his bone, and then he wakes up with Widmore there saying, "Okay, we had another doctor come and to set your bone properly."
Yeah. Oh, and if you didn't notice, Abaddon was watching him during the first thing when he got to the hospital.
And so Widmore says, like, I last met you in the 50s, and I didn't even make that connection that Widmore would, like, know about Locke, and it's because of this that it all fell together for me, because I wondered why Widmore would send Abaddon to Locke when he was, like, in rehab, and it's because Widmore knows Locke is important, because he met him in the 50s.
Yep. And so he's like, how long was it for you? He's like, oh, a couple days. It's like,
yeah.
Wow, okay.
Like for the, regular viewers, it's like, oh, he's just met Widmore, now he meets him again. And for me, it's like, wow, it does feel like it was decades ago.
I know, right? Yeah, because you saw it in real time. You took Widmore's path to this moment.
Yeah. Anyway, Widmore's like, oh, we protected the island peacefully. Yeah, he
peacefully
sure does.
Cut to mass grave of Dharma.
Yeah. And Widmore's like, yeah, you have to.
Or when he wanted to kill Alex and Rousseau.
Yeah. So, he's like, I'm gonna help you bring them back, and it's like, okay, what he gains from this is that he helps Locke bring them back. Then bringing them back, he finds out where it is.
Yes.
And he says there's a war coming and the wrong side will win if Locke isn't back, but, I mean, what are the sides exactly? And maybe I just made that up.
I mean, who the sides are in this war coming up will... I mean, they'll eventually settle on who they are, but it's very weird.
Yeah, anyway, Widmore gives him a new name. So from now on, Locke is going by Jeremy Baramy. And so... What?
Well, yeah, but it's the real joke is that, John Locke is obviously a philosopher, and Jeremy Bentham was a different philosopher who had opposite ideas.
They said Jeremy Baramy.
Of course.
Anyway, so Widmore's like, oh, here's data on everyone's whereabouts, and here's the thing. Didn't Widmore try to kill Saeed?
Yeah. Maybe it's the kind of thing where once he realized it was Saeed, he was like, fuck, well, I can't kill him because I need him to get back to the island. Maybe...
Maybe... I mean, I guess Widmore probably still, respects Jacob, so if Jacob saves him, it's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't mess with that.
Yeah, So, and then Locke is like, hey, what about the part where you sent mercenaries to kill everyone on the thing? And he's like, oh, that was just about killing Ben. Don't worry about it.
Yes, it's so it could be your time, because we all know after all of that hype of how special Locke will be, we're gonna get to see Locke be special and lead the others.
Yeah, basically, the writers have decided I'm no longer the main villain.
Anyway,
So he's like, hey, you're super special, and Abaddon's going to be your bodyguard.
Mm-hmm. And he is in a wheelchair now, pretty much.
Yeah. So he goes to see Saeed, who's doing volunteer work in the Dominican.
Yep. So after everything, he decided to just try and help people. It's good to see. Saeed's a good man. And he's also like...
well, again, remember, he's still going to end up shooting a 12-year-old, so...
Okay, but that, after everything I've seen, I agree with Kate and Juliet that, time paradox, schmime schmaradox, but, that 12-year-old had it coming.
Well, no, his, 40-year-old self had it coming, but he didn't have it coming when he was 12. Just shoot Ben now,
Yeah, he kind of should.
I mean, you had ample opportunities.
Frankly, I honestly, one of my predictions is that maybe he will before they get back to the island.
Oh, you'll see what happens to
Yeah.
them.
Anyway,
it's very interesting how they end up on. Anyway,
So Saeed, he currently feels like he was manipulated into thinking he was protecting people, but he's gonna go back to it anyway.
yep.
And he
Well-
just asks, like, who's manipulating you, Locke? Which, like, yeah, Locke is being manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, it all, like, the core goal is his own goal.
Yeah, and yeah, so he says Locke only needs to go back just because he doesn't have anywhere else to go, which
Yeah.
gets Locke to ask about finding Helen, which will be a thing, and then he goes to go visit Walt, which is it's just a nice scene to see the two of them
Yeah.
reunite, even
It's just like,
briefly.
it's just like this doesn't have much plot purpose. It's just like, you gotta acknowledge that, like, they were good friends on the island, and, you know, no one else came to see Walt. Just like, you know, it would feel wrong if he didn't do this.
Yeah, and he says he's been having dreams of Locke on the island wearing a suit with people around him who want to hurt him. So, I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
not
you know,
I'm not
sometimes,
sure.
you know, cut to that clip. Sometimes foreshadowing is fairly obvious.
You know what? I've just been like, ugh, they really killed off Locke like that. Maybe they're gonna just pull some Jesus shit and have him get resurrected.
I mean, everyone keeps talking about how special he is.
You know what? I honestly should have already, like, that just occurred to me, but I should have already expected it. It's a very Christian show.
Yes, and he asks, Walt asks, you know, how you know Michael's doing because he just assumes Michael went back to the island,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, he was on a boat near the island, so yeah, I'm gonna leave out that it blew up.
Technically true.
Yeah,
He
and
was on that boat when there was a boat.
yeah, and then he doesn't ask him to come back, which is
Yeah.
nice, but it's also like we're leaving this
Walt-
plot alone.
Yeah, and we, you know what? Let's not like have to deal with the actor aging anymore. Even though he's probably more stable now, let's just not deal with it.
See, I think what they should have done is, instead of they did a 3-year time skip because that would have caught them up to modern day at the time. I think, honestly, what they should have done is just make it like a 5 or a 6-year time skip so they're ahead in the future, and then as the seasons go on, they would then just catch up to the present. And I think then you could include Walt, because then he would look the age he's supposed to. But
Yeah. I mean, it's like what messed everything up was like how Jack and his gang left the island, but Walt left the island in a different way, so it's like maybe not as bad. Like it's the question of does Desmond need to return? I don't think he does. They might make him anyway, but I feel like it's really Jack's core group that is from the plane that needs to return. And Walt, I mean, there's so much weirdness of how Walt left, but it definitely feels like that's not as necessary.
yeah, again, they really put more of the focus on the people who left on the helicopter than anyone else.
Yeah. The helicopter is what was like not supposed to happen.
Yeah. So and then we also see Ben spying on him because
Yeah.
of course.
So then Locke makes it to Hurley, and Hurley's like, damn, you died, that sucks.
Yeah, and then absolutely freaks out when he realizes that Locke is not a ghost.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta remember, it's been 3 years for Hurley.
Yeah. And then Hurley's like, oh wait, don't look now, but there's this creepy guy going there, blah blah blah. And the light's like, oh no, he's with me. And Hurley's like, what, bitch, what the fuck? No.
Yeah. And it's like, I expected Hurley to be like, yeah, everything's bad, we should go back to the island. But it takes him some more time to get there.
Yeah. So then, Locke does ask Abaddon, like, what the hell is up with his deal? And Abaddon says he helps people get to where they need to go,
Yeah, it's like
which is
remember.
so vague a thing to say about a mysterious character. Then,
But you know what? We won't have to answer any questions with him.
yeah, they figured out the easy loophole to not have to answer questions about a character.
Yeah. Anyway, then Locke sees Kate, and she just like, nope, you don't love anybody.
Yeah, and Locke, he's like, no, I did love Helen, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, why did your relationship with Helen fail? And
Because he was greedy.
well, he says because he was, obsessed. And Kate goes, well,
up.
yeah, and Kate goes, well, Looks like basically like, well, it looks like you're exactly where you were then. So good job.
So then Abaddon is like, can't find Helen, and his Locke is like, that's bullshit. And yeah, it's because he didn't want to tell him that she died.
Yeah, so that's sad.
Yeah.
Never get to see a reunion
then,
between them. It means we don't get any more Katie Seagal.
Yeah. And so there's a bit about Locke saying, like, so her path led her to die, so if I die, is my path to die, is that a choice? And I think that's kind of meaningful that it comes right before Abaddon's path ending with him dying. Was that a choice?
Well, to be also with again, I haven't been telling you the title of these episodes for important reasons that you'll understand later.
I feel like that, like, I don't know if this is the only reason, but I feel like some episode titles probably had to do with their flash forwards, so you couldn't tell me.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna keep it that way just for reasons. Anyway, but this, like, the entire thing of Locke waking up in Tunisia all the way to his death, that was just one continuous episode.
Yeah.
And the episode was titled "The Life and Death of Jeremy Bentham." Like, it was very clear. Like, the audience also already knew Locke had died by that point, but it was very clear. Yeah. It's like, hey, this is the episode where Locke dies. Like,
fucked up. Anyway, yeah, so I guess, did this serve as a kind of bait then? Like, oh shit, Abaddon died, and is Locke gonna die too, but he gets away? Let me just say, he drives horribly. Like, holy shit. I get that it's been years and years since you've been able to drive, but, like, you done messed up. That was your fault that there was an accident.
Yeah. So he gets the car wreck, and of course he ends up at Jack's hospital, because that's just how it is.
And Jack is just like, fuck you, man. Like, that's just Jack's energy. Like, fuck you for being here at all.
Yeah, and she says probably the most crushing line to Locke, which is like, have you ever stopped to consider that maybe these delusions that you're special aren't real, and that you're just a sad, lonely man who honestly, crashed on an island?
It genuinely made me sad once I realized that actually got to Locke. Like with Jack, I'll get to that in a bit. But for now, Jack just still doesn't believe in destiny, and it's like, oh yeah, so it's kind of odd because, was this during season 5?
Yes.
So then it's odd because, like, I know by the point where later in season 5, he is gonna be full destiny. So yeah, that happens.
Well,
this fast.
This is also what changes Jack into that, which is, because Locke says, "Oh, your father says hello," and that kind of just sets up everything, because Jack has been trying to just ignore everything that he's been seeing, visions of his dead father and everything that happened on the island that had to do with his dad. That I think that really got to him, that it was so real, and his life now is pretty empty. Like, he doesn't have Kate, and
but that's his fault. Like, he totally could have had Kate.
Well, yeah, he mentions that in the 70s, that it was his fault, but he really starts believing them because of the whole message from his dad. So then we cut to Locke writing a suicide note that just says, I wish you had believed me.
See, this fucked me up so bad because there was a point where it was like, does Locke need to die in order to get them to come back? And for a moment,
and the answer is kind of like yes, because it inspires them to come back. Yes. Like,
but the thing is, at this moment, I was thinking like, oh, is he making the ultimate sacrifice? Does he realize the only way to get them to do this is to kill himself because it'll, like, inspire a change? Is he doing it solely for his goal? And then I realize, like, no, he is just actually crushed and thinks he's a failure, and Jack saying maybe he's not special got to him. Like, no, he is actually feeling at the lowest, and that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, but right when he's gonna go hang himself, Ben bursts in and stops him.
Yep. And
And he's like,
And
no,
he's
you can't kill yourself. You know,
you're special.
You're too
You're
important.
special. Which, yeah, and Ben sure hates that he's important.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, Jack booked a ticket from LA to Sydney, so clearly whatever you said got to him.
Yep.
And then so yeah, Locke is like, oh hey, yeah, you know, Jin's alive, but that's why I promise not to tell Sun. And you just see immediately the wheels turning in Ben's head of like, well, a promise is a promise, which is like, because it's like, well, I never promised not to bring Sun into this, so I will. Like,
and I don't entirely get what Ben's motive is here. Like, does he want to bring everyone back? And like,
yes,
does
but
he? Okay,
I'll tell you now. Ben's motive is to bring everyone back, and he's gonna go with them.
Okay, but I thought he's not allowed to come back after the wheel, and I mean, I didn't see him in the 70s.
Exactly.
And that's part of why I think that Saeed may kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so then once Locke says, like, yeah, we gotta go to Eloise Hawking, then Ben is just like, I think Ben just like, alright, I don't need him anymore. Which is fucked up. Like, I don't see how Locke being alive would have interfered with what Ben wanted to do. Ben just wanted control and resented Locke.
Yeah, it's because Ben was jealous that Locke was special and that he's not.
So I think this is a horrible way to kill off Locke. It's like, that's part of why I feel like it's such a depressing point in the show. Like, he didn't complete his character arc. We never got the payoff of how he was supposed to be so important and so special. But you know what? They probably are going to Jesus resurrect him, so we'll probably still get the conclusion of his arc.
Yeah. So, and then Ben restages the murder to look like the suicide in the first place.
You know, you gotta respect it. Like, Ben is a man of many skills. Like, he knew exactly how to make it look real and how to leave no evidence.
Well, I mean, to be fair, how to make it look real was just make it look like how I saw it was 2 minutes ago. And
Yeah, that's true.
And just, you know, wipe my prints off everything.
But yeah, when I saw this and I didn't yet start thinking that Locke might get resurrected, I was just like, what the fuck? This is really what they did for Locke. After all this time, one of the most important characters, this.
Yeah, you often see comments, which I agree with, which is about the scene being like, you know, oh, when your favorite character kills your second favorite character, or when your second favorite character kills your favorite character. Like, it very much is that kind of feel where it's like,
who wanted this other than Ben?
I mean,
anyway, he does take Jin's ring.
Yeah, he takes Jin's ring, and then he says he'll miss John, which is like, huh.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, clearly he wouldn't be lying, because there's no one around to lie to, so...
Yeah. So then we see Sun in London, and Charles is right there, which basically...
This is actually in London. This was another scene they had to film in London.
So, look, Sun is girl-bossing closer and closer to the sun.
Yep.
Like, she is being hardcore. She is trying to be in control of the situation, which, to be fair, in the end, she did not have control of the situation. But, like, right now, like, she is just like, no, you're working with me, Mr. Widmore. It's like, we have common interests. Don't pretend you don't know me. It's like... And I'm just thinking... See, I thought she wanted to find Jin. I thought that she suspected he was alive, but it gets revealed later that, like... She wanted to kill Ben. Yeah, I thought she wanted to find the island, but no, it's that she wanted to kill Ben.
Yeah, well, I mean, why would she want to find the island? She thinks Jin died in a boat explosion that she saw with her own eyes.
I thought that she might suspect he was alive, but yeah, that wouldn't make sense. That'll come later.
Yeah. So then we have Ben going to Saeed and saying that Locke was dead, and saying, I think he was murdered. Which is like, you think? You think, Ben?
Yeah, Ben is really playing multiple sides. So, like, a lot of these scenes, they had to have... I'm not sure about this one or all of them, but some of them had to be before we saw that Ben killed him. And it's just like, oh, you're really pretending to be on one side.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, everyone's in danger. It's like, hey, there's a guy watching her that's been parked outside of Hurley's mental ward. Maybe we want to do something about that.
Yeah.
And Saeed's like, no, but then he's in his head, he's like, yes, I will go save Hurley.
And Ben makes this whole point about, like, Saeed... You're capable of more things than other men. It's in your nature to be a killer. It's like, fuck you, Ben. Saeed is a good man who sometimes has to make hard choices choices nobody else can make, but he does them because they're important.
Yeah. So then we cut to Jack drunk on a plane. And this was sort of the beginning of the season 3, what people assumed were flashbacks, especially because it would mirror the opening of season 3 was the whole divorce flashbacks. And so it was like, oh, this was like another period from his divorce at the end. They're bookending it, right? Especially because they have his ex-wife show up.
I guess a lot of this was very non-specific. It is very easy to, like, not realize this is in the future.
Yeah, and if you think it's in the past, you think the person he's calling is his ex, not Kate, right? Like,
yeah. And I gotta say, I like the bearded look for him.
Oh no, can't
now,
I?
Look,
Could
the beard be groomed better? Absolutely.
100%.
But I still think the concept of a beard on his face is good.
I can't dig it.
I mean, it makes him look like Tom with the fake beard.
Oh my god, yeah.
When it's that messy. But yeah, so
he gets a newspaper that mentions Locke's death,
but it doesn't reveal what that is for a lot of this.
Yeah. He calls Kate, who doesn't answer, and then he goes to commit suicide by jumping off a bridge.
Yeah. And instead, there's a car crash, and he's like, I gotta go help. And I do like the characterization, like the consistent characterization from Jack, that he helps, he cannot help but help. And obviously we see later in this how, like, that's a flaw in a lot of ways, genuinely. But, you know, I still like that it's his instinct. He is a good person.
Yeah. So then his ex-wife shows up at the hospital because she's still his emergency contact.
And she asks if he was drinking, and he asks for a lift home, and she doesn't want to. And see, because they're so non-specific, it's like we don't get to see, like, how did she react to Jack being one of the Oceanic Six?
Yeah, I mean,
she's not that important of a character ultimately.
Yeah, no, she has moved on with her life. Yeah. Like, she's... So we have Jack, wanting to do surgery on the car crash woman, and we can see his hands just shaking as he's just holding the papers.
And the chief of surgery is just like, no.
Yeah, he's like, no, we already got someone on that, don't worry about it. And so he calls Kate again, who still doesn't answer. And then so this was a funny thing. So he goes to this funeral home, and the name of the funeral home is Hofsdraller Funeral Home. And Hofsdraller is a anagram for flash forward.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, so I only noticed this later when he comes back here, but there's a parking meter at where he parks, and he does not pay here.
That feels in character, like...
Yeah, oh yeah, that is where he is. I mean, he tries to cross and he almost gets hit by a car because he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. So then we have a scene that obviously was not part of this set of flashback, which is Hurley, getting visited by Walt.
Yep. And, his grandma's like, don't do anything crazy. But, I kind of see this as, like, since Locke died, Walt, who is also vaguely magical, like, sort of has to do important things for encouraging people to do certain things. But anyway, Walt mentions, like, nobody came to see me, which, like, almost like the writers forgot.
Nah, it was on purpose. Like, I think they just didn't want to... I think they were torn between wanting to involve Walt and not, and...
I guess.
To be fair, this was still when they were hiding who Jeremy Bentham was. Like who is Jeremy Bentham? Why are they so important? And so he's...
Jeremy. I'm not going to stop saying it.
Yeah, but you see, it gets less funny every time you make the joke.
Yeah. Anyway, so Walt thinks that it is whack that they were all lying, but Walt wasn't there during, like, the whole situation where, like, this is messed up if we let the world know about this. Like, it's still right to not let Widmore know about the island.
Yeah. So then we get to Jack getting denied his prescription.
And he tries to write a fake one from he tries to write one from his dad, and this is where it starts being really, like you said, like they say, like she wants to call his dad, and it's like, oh, so you think that he just doesn't want her to call his dad because it's like, you know, not a real prescription, but it's like, no, it's because he's dead, and he is that low that he's faking a prescription from his dead dad. And then at the same time, he ends up stealing some from, like, the storage in his hospital. The head of surgery asks him what's up. And, I'll skip ahead. A little bit later, Jack says, like, get my father down here. If he's drunker than me, you can fire me. And it's like, this, so during season 3, this was supposed to feel like, oh, it's a flashback and his dad's an alcoholic. But it's like, no, Jack is going insane. He's not even remembering that his dad is dead.
Yeah, he's fully spiraling at this point.
Yep.
So then we cut to Sun getting detained at an airport by Widmore, and he's just mad, not for any real reason, just at the disrespect.
Yeah, which, like, okay, Sun, you may be rich and powerful now, but Widmore is more rich and powerful, so it's difficult to get away with doing what you did.
And he's British, so
yeah. So he's twice as evil. But anyway, yeah.
And she's like, well, we have a common interest. We both want to kill Ben, so...
Like, Sun isn't going to hold this grudge, because he's like, you approached me in public, and she's just like, yeah, fair enough. Like they're still going to work together.
Yeah, so Jack calls Kate again, and she finally answers and agrees to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we find out that, you know, every weekend Jack has been just flying somewhere over the Pacific, hoping to crash.
So, is this a flash forward? This part's a flash forward?
Yes.
Because I think there's, like, a later continuation of this that seemed like it was from, like, a season 5 episode or something.
Okay, so it's a funny thing. So, this original scene of Kate showing up to Jack, that was the season 3 finale, right? And then the scene where Kate stops her car, reverses, and goes to yell at him some more, was from the season 4 finale.
Oh.
There was an entire season in between this
Yeah.
thing. But and here's a funny thing. So each ending of the season ending shot got a code name in the script, and they would be cut out of scripts because they didn't want it to be leaked, right? So the one where Walt gets taken by the others, it was nicknamed the Bagel.
Yeah, I think you've told me that.
Yeah, this one was titled, I believe, the Rattlesnake in the Mailbox, because it was supposed to be, you know, unexpected, like opening your mailbox to find a snake.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this because then the next one is going to be an even better name.
Alright, so, so this is basically supposed to be, holy shit, this is in the future because he knows Kate, and there's who's the funeral, and then it's like, so then he's like, he flies back and forth, because that's not healthy at all. He wants it to crash again. He's sick of lying, and he's saying, we have to go back. So that's where season 3 ends.
Yes.
All right, that must have hit at the time.
Especially because it was intercut with Jack being so happy to finally have the satellite radio work and get in contact with the boat and we're gonna be rescued, yay! Cut to, you know, he's miserable and saying we have to go back.
Yeah. So one thing I thought about a lot was the idea that after so much build-up to finally leaving the island, aren't viewers going to be so pissed that they end up going back? And I guess they solved that by just
some people were.
They weaved in since the end of season 3 that they'd be going back. So by the time it happens, it's just yeah, they're going back, of course.
There were a good amount of people who, after season 4, were just you know what? No, they got the island. That's it. The end.
You know what? If you want to stop watching, you can.
Yeah.
But what the hell happens to Sawyer?
Yeah. So then Kate is first off, Locke was insane, and how dare you tell me to go back when I have an actual life here?
Yeah, you don't have a life, I do.
Yeah. So then.
Also, no, she doesn't say that Locke was insane. She says Jeremy was insane, because of course they're going to refer to him like that even when they're alone.
Yeah. Anyway, so then Saeed kills the dude outside of the psych ward and breaks Hurley out.
Yep.
And there's a funny moment where he was playing. It turns out he was playing chess with Mr. Echo.
Yeah, that I mean, I guess there's a later scene where he tells Miles, "Yeah, I play chess with dead people," and yeah, now we got to see it.
Yeah. So then
Also,
Kate has.
they also don't refer to Locke by his real name because Saeed says they're being watched. I don't think that would make sense that they're being watched.
Well, they're being watched by the audience who doesn't know who's dead yet.
Yeah, but then it's like in like a scene or two later, they're just like, "Oh yeah, it's Locke."
Because now it's been revealed to the audience, so now they can say it was Locke. So then Kate has a nightmare of Claire saying not to bring Aaron back.
Which, I mean, I don't see Aaron in the 70s.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
They're not bringing back the child character, so.
But I don't know how it's going to happen. And so, I mean, Claire doesn't want Aaron to be brought back or something. Or I don't know if that's... I mean, it's lost. I'm assuming it's real. But, like, what is even going on with Claire's character right now, you know?
Oh, you'll find out. So Jack goes to the funeral parlor again.
And he's listening. Also, I want to mention, when they have him driving, he's listening to rock music. And it's not even, like, edgy rock music. It's just rock music. But it feels like this is how the show is telling us that, like, he's in his edgy phase, that he's listening to rock music and wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
It's like when we had Dark Charlie and it was him wearing a hoodie.
Yeah. So he goes to the funeral parlor and Ben's there, and Ben's like, all of you have to go back, even him. Cut to a dramatic shot of revealing Locke is in the coffin.
That must have been crazy.
Yeah, this was the season 4 finale shot. And you know what's super funny is what they titled this one is they titled it The Frozen Donkey Wheel, to confuse people who would then think that it was referring to the scene of Ben pushing a frozen donkey wheel in the underground thing, except no, it's a completely different scene.
Anyway. So
Jack wonders how things got so messed up, and Ben's like, well, because you left. Maybe if only someone told you not to.
I mean, some things got messed up because Ben apparently pushed the wheel horribly and knocked it off its axis.
Yeah. So then Hurley and Saeed are on the run, and yeah, maybe if you ate more comfort food, you wouldn't have to go around shooting people.
I think the initial shot here, they shot it as though they're like, they're coming, as though they're like trying to meet someone or like someone's gonna catch them. It's like, no, it's the drive-through person is coming.
Yeah. And Saeed says something that will ultimately not really help Hurley, which is that he says, whatever Benjamin Linus tells you to do the opposite.
Because,
which is like, I get generally good advice. Unfortunately, this was not the time.
I have things to say about that scene later. But anyway, so Saeed had taped the door, so he knows someone broke in. So they start fighting and just knocks the guy off the balcony. But he gets poison darted. So then Saeed, it's a good fight scene. Like, he fakes passing out, but then hits him with a pan, and the guy falls atop the knives in the dishwasher. Which, let me just say, why did Saeed put the knives in the dishwasher facing up?
In case he needed to have a fight scene.
Like, I get it if you want to put your forks... Like, I put my forks and spoons facing up, so they get washed better. But I get it if people don't. But you don't put the knives facing up.
Right, so then, Hurley tries to grab, like, the tranquilizer gun to help, and the people see pictures of him holding a gun with a ketchup stain and a dead body.
Which, it's so contrived that you kind of just have to roll with it. Like, what
But it's like, you know what? It's like, Hurley is the guy who had an asteroid hit his chicken franchise. Like, this is par for the course for him.
Yeah. And my only thing is, like, I don't think that guy got shot. I think he just fell off the building. So they should, like when that guy gets investigated, they should see he doesn't have any bullet wounds.
And they would see that it's ketchup on his shirt and not blood.
Yeah. So then
Jack shaves off his beard, finally.
Because he's back to being the real Jack.
Yeah, and Ben is like, oh, the last time I saw Locke was on the island, so
Yep.
No.
What a liar.
And of course, they see on the news now that Hurley is wanted for murder, and they're just
And
like,
they're
oh,
like,
fuck,
well,
of course.
Yep, that's gonna be a problem. Meanwhile, we see a law firm knock on Kate's door, and they want to get a blood sample from Aaron because, someone knows, they have a court order, and Kate's just like, fuck off. And so here's my guess. Is this Ben?
Is it?
Is this... If Ben's... I feel like it could be Ben behind it, where his goal is just to disrupt Kate's life so that he can try taking her back to the island, because if Kate's life is stable, she wouldn't want to leave.
I mean, that's true. If her life is stable, she would not want to leave.
But I mean, it could also be way more... Like, there's lots of people who could be doing lots of things for various reasons.
Yeah.
But she just gets ready to run, as she is great at.
Yeah. So then Hurley is driving an unconscious Saeed when he gets pulled over by the ghost of Ana Lucia.
Yeah, that was a great scene. She's just like, come on, you idiot. What if I was real? What if a real cop stopped you? Don't pull over. Get your shit together. Gives him advice like, new clothes, a safe place, get Saeed somewhere trustworthy, stay away from cops, and Libby says hi.
Yeah.
Which, great cameo, and just, like, nice to see him getting help.
Yeah, and then we have the false tension scene of him just buying clothes at it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I recognize you. You won the lottery.
Yeah.
Buy a ticket for me.
Yeah, and then in a fun transition scene that Lost doesn't usually do is, as he leaves, Kate pulls into the same gas station seconds later.
Yeah. So then, Kate gets a call, and it's like, oh, it's you. Let's meet, and it turns out to be Sun later.
Yeah. Get to then Jack being like, hey, where's my pills? And Ben's like, I flushed them. And Jack's like, oh, good. I was just about to do that.
Jack starts coping. And
he tells Jack, hey, pack a suitcase of everything you want from this world, because you're not coming back.
Yep. And it's like, Jack doesn't exactly have a lot right now. I mean, we saw a shot of his apartment that was a mess, but it's like I don't think he has much important to him.
Yeah. So then Hurley goes to his parents' house and gets
his dad is making a sandwich and watching expose.
Yeah, living that life. So the dad helps him hide Saeed.
Yeah. And, the police come, and then his dad is like, you killed 3 people, and Turley's like, no, Saeed did.
Yeah. So then Hurley's dad, seriously questions if he's crazy or not. And then his mom gets home, it's like, why is there what did she say? Why is there a dead Pakistani on my couch? He goes, he's Iraqi and he's not dead. He's like, well, he's not breathing.
Hey, there's a couple scenes before that though. There's a scene where Kate and Aaron get into the elevator, and Aaron is like, ooh, can I push the elevator button? And I just mentioned that because, first of all, absolute king shit pushing the elevator button. Second of all, that's like the most realistic writing of a child the show has ever done.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, it turns out she's here to see Sun. But I don't know if we can trust Sun because she's girl bossing too hard. But then, meanwhile, Ben sees some butcher who works for the others, and he just wants her to watch Locke.
Yeah. There's nothing to that scene other than just like, oh, here's what we're gonna do with the Scotland for now.
Yeah, it's just to explain why they aren't carrying it around everywhere.
Yeah. So then Hurley's dad, sneaks them out to go get help from Jack.
Yeah. But you're skipping more because we have the whole conversation between Kate and Sun, where Sun points out, if they wanted to expose the lie, they just would. No, they just want Aaron, and who is behind this. But the thing is, Sun is working with Widmore. For all we know, Sun is part of this. And she says Kate it's like, I don't know if we can trust anything she says here, but she says that Kate has to take care of them. And this whole point of like, oh, you said you'd get Jin, but you didn't. And Kate's sorry, but Sun's like, that's how it is.
Yeah.
When the fuck do they get to reunite?
I mean, do they? I mean...
I just realized something. Jin became a criminal for the sake of Sun. And now, in parallel, Sun has become a criminal because she lost Jin.
I mean, has Sun actually done anything illegal? I don't think she has.
Has she? Okay, you know what? I vaguely assumed that in taking charge of her dad's company, she also took charge of the illegal side, but I guess that's not actually...
Oh, that's true. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, maybe she's just in charge of the not illegal sides.
No, you're right. You're right. She got the illegal part, too.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so now we get, Hurley's dad is getting Jack, and he's, and I wonder how Jack gets Saeed in without anyone being suspicious. But meanwhile, Hurley's dad just stay away
by the
from
power of them being different scenes.
Yeah, stay away from Hurley after this. He is honestly being a real dad now.
Yeah, so then cut to Hurley's mom questioning just the entire scenario of everything going on.
And Hurley starts giving the worst possible explanation of the plot. You know who would explain what happened like this? If it's like 2008 and somebody is like telling you, oh, you really gotta watch Lost, but there's somebody who doesn't understand the concept that people don't want spoilers, so they just start telling you everything, but it doesn't make any sense. That is how Hurley explains it to his mom.
I don't know. I found it pretty funny.
I mean, yeah, it's funny.
She says, I believe you. I don't understand you, but I believe you.
No, I'm just saying it's a horrible explanation in the sense that his mom should not believe him, but she does anyway because she trusts her son. But, like, nobody else would believe what he would sound so insane.
Yeah, so then Saeed wakes up in the hospital and just immediately starts strangling Jack.
Yep, and so Jack's like, dude, it's me, and he chills out after a few seconds. And it is not good that Jack had actually told Ben where Hurley is. But Ben gets there, and here's the thing. So you have just confirmed for me, yeah, Ben wants to get them back to the island. But the thing is,
I mean, that's what he's told, like, Jack and everything. He's like, yeah, we're gonna get you back.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, you could never trust Ben. Like, who knows what Ben is planning? The thing is, I think the show has played it very non-specific and vague about, like, who the people that Saeed killed this time were actually working for. They could have been working for Ben, and I think, watching this scene, I was paranoid that, like, maybe we can't trust Ben, maybe he is manipulating them, and I think that was on purpose. I think that this scene is supposed to make you very unsure if Hurley should trust Ben or not.
I mean, it is, and to be fair, Ben does give every possible explanation as to how he knows everything. And it's like, to be fair, everything he says there was actually true. He's like, I know this because Jack told me, and Jack knows this because of blah, blah, blah.
And the thing is, so, I bring it up just because I feel like at a lot of other parts, I have done a lot of complaining that, like, I don't know who's even on what side, I don't know who we even trust, who's working for who, and I would complain about that here, but I think it's on purpose. It's supposed to be a mystery. It's supposed to be unclear.
But Hurley's like, nope, Saeed told me never to trust you, so he goes and surrenders to the police instead.
Yep. Which, now that's going to be a problem, but I feel like this could be one of those situations where they investigate and they just actually figure out that it wasn't him. But at the same time, we kind of know that Saeed is in handcuffs when they go to the 70s.
Yep.
So either Saeed gets caught for this, or Saeed manages to kill Ben too before getting caught.
Right. So we are nearing the end of these sort of in between island parts, because next time we will be covering episode 85, December 2007, and episode 86, The Island, Day 1. So, I mean, we're getting back to the island. What do you expect to happen in this last part of the off-island world?
You know what? I can't even predict the events. Like, it's gonna be just like a ton of stuff that eventually, like, somehow comes together into everyone. Well, I just burped. Somehow, it's gonna be a bunch of events that somehow come together into everyone ending up on the plane. Maybe Saeed gets arrested and they deport him, and everyone else is just like, you know what? Let's also buy tickets on that same plane. But what? No, don't they have to? Don't they have to meet Eloise Hawking?
They do.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
Desmond was on his way to go meet her.
Yeah, we have to have that happen.
Yeah.
So it's like somehow, but it's like everybody, like Hurley's getting arrested right now. Everyone has different goals and motives. Like, so it's gonna be like I cannot possibly predict the specifics of how it goes down, but you know, I mean, we know what the end point has to be.
Are you at least excited to see how it goes down?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I guess so. I mean, honestly, once we finish this stuff, is it gonna just cut immediately to season 6?
No. Nope.
Are there like more? Okay, well, I guess don't tell me how, but I don't really know what goes in between, and maybe we get Claire stuff. Maybe.
You'll understand when you see it.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that has been it for these sort of episodes. So I hope you join us next time.